Good afternoon, this is Blu Laker, and this is Cobra USA, emanating from the grounds of Radio Tribune right here in Las Vegas, right down on 9th Street, 717 9th Street. So if you have some viable information that we can use, by all means, come in, let us talk to you, maybe bring you on the show, and let you give your opinion of different topics that we might be talking about. There's been a lot happen in the last 48 hours, especially in Syria, and the visit by our Secretary of State with the Russian delegation. At first, Russia wasn't going to entertain the interview, but then they changed their mind. Now, it's one thing when we point the finger at someone, but usually when we do that, we have a good reason. It's been confirmed, and there's no question about it. Right now, the debate is over whether or not Syria used chemical warfare or poisoning on their own people. And maybe it's true. But we did this in Iraq. We lost over 5,000 men and women. And we should have never been there. Are we about to make another mistake? I hope not. Because we need the support, help, if you were, from other countries. We may have a bitter feeling about someone. Well, for example, the Soviet Union and the Berlin Wall. But, that's over. It's done. And we have started on a new day. Just like the war, the Second World War with Japan, China, Germany, it's over. We have to get on with life, and we have to understand that we cannot necessarily survive by ourselves, that we need to support and unification with the same goals and aspirations with countries we want to entertain for that particular purpose. So let's wait and see where the smoke clears. If in fact Syria did that, well, of course that is a horrendous crime. If they didn't do it, and the rebels are trying to pin it on them, they've done a pretty good job convincing other people that it wasn't them. But who's the most logical choice to do something like that? Who would benefit the most? Would it be the Syrian government or the rebels? Well, in my opinion, the ones with the most to gain would have been the rebels, because they want Assad out of Syria, and they'll do anything to get him out. So we have to read between the lines and find out exactly who's guilty. And wherever that guilt points, and we're not talking about circumstantial evidence, we're talking about ironclad proof, then that's what we'll have to follow. But I don't want to see a repeat of Iraq. I don't want to see another 5,000 Americans dead. I don't want to see the sorrow and grief that those soldiers left behind with their wives and their children. You see, war isn't just about the soldiers, it's about their families and the reason they have for living. So we need to be careful of what we do. You know, unfortunately, throughout the United States history, we've had a lot of wars. Some were justified. The example would be the American Revolution. It was justified because all of the people wanted to get away for a government that was penalizing us and taxing us with no benefits to this country. So some are justified and some are not. Somebody has to understand that you're dealing with life and death, with human beings, people who have their own minds, who have their own beliefs. And those people who have fought for this country had their beliefs in the United States. The United States means exactly that, united. So why do we have all this bickering and division with the current administration who have been duly elected while being repressed by the Democratic Party? Is the Democratic Party the party of doom? We don't know that answer yet, but it's certainly pointing in that direction. We need to lift our spirits, to get unity in back of our endeavors to make America great again. Yes, to make America great again. To bring back some of the things that we used to have and not destroy the Constitution on which this nation was founded. Of course, if you don't believe in those principles, then either you're going to have to change it for everybody, or you're going to have to live with it, or you can have a third option, and that's leave. So I'm not going to tell you which one you have in mind, but I can tell you which one you don't have, and that's the ability to go around killing U.S. citizens. That's not an option. No more than ISIS is an option. No more than Islam is the answer for America. Because America is one of the greatest Christian nations in the world. Are we to be deprived of our heritage, of what all these men and women over the centuries have fought for and died for? No, I don't think so. Oh, yes, I wasn't back in the time of the Civil War or for the American Revolution. I'm not quite that old. But I do know the pain and suffering that most of those soldiers, North, South, colonialists, went through in order to give you the freedoms that you enjoy today. Do you want to give them up? Do you want to say, oh, well, that was, 100, 200 years ago, and, times are different now. Times are different and getting worse. And it's time that most people woke up and looked between the lines, or read between the lines, to see what's happening here in the United States. Imagine almost 40 acts of violence here in the United States by Islamic terrorists. And thousands of people dead and more wounded who have to carry that for the rest of their lives. It doesn't sound like a very good option. And we need to do something about it. We need to make sure that America gets back on the right path. We need to make sure that the people we elect to office do the job that they're supposed to do. That's what we elected them for. They were elected to represent the people of the United States, not just the Democratic Party, not just the Republican Party, but all of the citizens of the United States. And we've had this two-party system for over, well, I guess close to 200 years. And so far it hasn't really worked. We need to make sure that we all get on the same road, that we're all traveling down the same road together, and make America great again. I'm telling you, it's time for this to happen. We have made a choice in this recent election to change the direction that we have been going on in the past. You want to fight it? Do you want to hold up process? You want to hold up progress? Do you want to see Americans happy and joyful and the pride of the world? Well, you need to get on the same page, because this president has the resolve to make these things happen. And as far as the events that have taken place in the Middle East, it's not over by far. And we have yet to see where the ashes are going to settle. But we do know that going to war is not going to be an advantage. Are we going to take on someone, whether it happens to be Russia or Syria or North Korea? And what do we gain from all of that aggression? Oh, we stop them? The only way to stop those kinds of things is to kill the cancer. What do I mean by killing the cancer? Well, you just can't knock out a few air stations. You can't just knock out a few towns or cities or a country. You've got to come to a meeting of the minds. You must be able to compromise and understand that any progress is just that, progress. Anything else just puts us further and further back of our goals and aspirations. You want your children to be happy and have a future, to be able to get an education. Because we're way behind in education here in the United States. As I understand it, we're 28th. 28th. We should be at the top. So education is an important tool necessary for the continued prosperity of the future. Let's not waste it. A good mind is nothing to waste. But they have to have the tools to make it work. Good teachers, good pay, a reason to fight and be loyal to the United States. So when you're thinking about where you're going or where your children are going, you need to look a little further down the road and say, oh, what will happen in another 5 years? I'm going to give you a really good example, and I bet very few people can come up with an answer. You know, here in Las Vegas, we have tons of people coming in and visiting us, millions of people coming in and visiting us. But even that has got its implications towards the local community and local traffic. And what I mean is real simple. You go out on the freeways today, and you're going to be lucky not to be in bumper traffic. And delayed for 20, 30 minutes, a couple hours sometimes. So I ask you, what is the answer to that? Because as more and more people come into Las Vegas, whether to visit or to stay, we've only put that much pressure on our infrastructure. And the infrastructure is not just limited to the roads and the highways. It's related to parking. Oh, have you seen some of the hotels that are going to charge $28 to park your car? Maybe for 24 hours? We never had that before. So why is it happening now? And if it's happening now, what's going to happen in a few years? Are we going to have to leave our cars in the driveway and take mass transportation to work? I believe that's part of the answer. I believe that we have to look down the road a little bit. And it bothers me to a degree when I go out to a hotel and I see these parking garages. And they're full with thousands of cars inside. And we're giving up valuable space so people can park cars. Well, I understand they need to get into the hotels and the casinos. But at what cost? Wouldn't it be better to use that property for grocery stores, schools, different things? How much money does a parking garage make? Oh, now they're going to charge for it. A little late. We should have been doing it many, 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 many years ago, but you see, they didn't want to do that because then the tourists wouldn't come. And I believe that decree by the casinos is going to hurt their business. People don't want to come to Las Vegas and spend $100 to park their car for a couple of days. Well, what's the option? Well, the option is high-speed transportation. That's the answer. Oh, but we don't have high-speed transportation. Now, is it one of those situations where we're going to worry about the water after it runs out? Or we're going to worry about the water now so that we don't have a problem with it in the future? I say, deal with it now. Nip it in the bud. And that's exactly what we have to do with transportation. Oh, I appreciate all the road work that's being done. And that's great for the construction industry. But where's the ripple effect? I mean, how many people were employed in the making of roads? A couple hundred, a couple thousand? Is that where we need to spend our dollars? Or do we need to spend our dollars, and I'm not saying the roads don't need to be conditioned or reconditioned. Think about where we're putting that money and how it can be best used in other places to create more revenue streams. Yeah, more revenue streams, because you see, if we don't create more revenue streams, guess what? They'll raise the taxes again. They'll raise the fees. And every time they raise the fees, it used to be you didn't have to pay $200 for a Nevada state business license. But then all of a sudden, slam bam, $200 to run a business to the state of Nevada. Well, that doesn't count the city licenses or the county licenses or the fees and all those things that come with trying to establish a business. And it's always been said that small businesses are the backbone of the economy. If we destroy them, now what? More people out of work, more people want assistance, more people on food stamps, welfare, subsidized housing. Oh yeah, that's another thing that's got to go. People need to earn a living. And if they're capable of talking or lifting their arms, they have the ability to do something. But so many people have become complacent and dependent upon the social welfare game that they don't want to give it up. Why should they work when we give it to them for nothing? Where's the repayment program? The repayment program is having them do something that contributes to the welfare of mankind. That's where it's at. And even those people in prisons need to reimburse the community for their stay. It shouldn't be just about free meals a day or watching television, but doing something productive. Because if they don't learn a trade, if they get out, they'll be coming back. So we have a lot of problems here in the United States, but each and every one of them has an answer somewhere. And our president has said that he would be our voice. The problem I'm seeing firsthand is that if he can't talk to him, he can't find out what's on our mind. He's asking for ideas and information, but nobody responds. Nobody. Now, if you can't get it through your representatives, and you sure as hell aren't going to be able to talk to the president himself, how do you get the information to them? You send it to a bunch of associates that are going through thousands of pieces of mail every day, and they take it from the mail delivery to the wastebasket. So, never used to be that way, but it is now. What about the internet? Well, try it. See if you can get a hold of an email for your representative. Same thing. There's a gatekeeper. The gatekeeper looks at information, maybe, before disposing of it or allowing you to go further. And most of the time, guess what? You're not going anywhere. So where's the representation? They want the ideas, but they don't want to take it. Oh, we can't do that because you're not our constituent. Oh, I'm a member of the American public. I'm a U.S. citizen. I was born here. Well, yeah, but you're not in my district. So what? Suppose nobody in your district has the information that I have or someone else has. You're not going to listen to it? It seems that way. And I was talking to one of the mayors today. And I had mentioned to him that before he was elected, I came to him with well, actually it was right after he was elected. I came to him with a program and I told him about it. And it wasn't a high priority. Well, it's almost 8 years now since that information was given to him. Guess what? There is somebody, apparently on the city council of Las Vegas, who's entertaining the idea. 8 years? We could have had this done, built, and working all of that time, and done away with the the properties are obsolete and can be turned into revenue-generating businesses. So you see, while it's important to have representatives, it's even more important to have representation. And if they won't listen to you, who will? Well, that's a good question, isn't it? Who will? If I talk to my neighbors, do you think they're in a position to do anything? No. Because they have the same problem. You can't get through. You cannot get through. In the hierarchy, and really that's what we have to call it, has all the doors locked, and only special people get in. Most of those special people, most of those special interests are just that, special interest, making a huge donation to their representative for alternative purposes. Well, isn't that what we're trying to get away from? The special interest, the lobbyists, the con men of the political organizations? Yes, we have to recognize that there are some snake salesmen out there selling snake oil. But we don't know the difference. They do. And the difference is money. Money. And there was once a quote by the Rothschild. Well, let's see, the Rothschild. Well, I can't remember now, so I'm going to have to pass on that one. Rothschilds. And he said that he who controls the money controls the politics. And thus it has been so far. But now, today, we have someone in office who doesn't need the money, doesn't want the money, and is trying to make America great again. In that effort, getting back to the very topic that we started earlier today, he must make every endeavor with every country to bring peace and tranquility, not just to the USA, but to the world. Now you might say, well, what are we doing in Syria anyway? Don't know. I don't know. Why are we supplying the rebels with ammunition and arms against a duly elected president of Syria? Why? Am I missing something here? If they did that to us, would we not be upset? Would we not want to keep in place our Constitution, our constitutional rights, the Bill of Rights, and to have what we were promised hundreds of years ago, the great American dream? Well, I believe that that's still the goal and aspiration, and that it's going to take truly dedicated patriots to make sure it happens. It isn't going to happen by itself. No one person is an island unto himself. And so when you're thinking about the people that you've supported, you must go the extra mile and help them and insist that they get the job done. Because if you don't pressure them, they probably won't do it. So speak your mind. Tell others what you're thinking. It's okay to have a different opinion than someone else. But it's not okay if that opinion flies in the face of everything that we know. And that includes not circumstantial evidence, but clear, concise proof that someone has done something that has been horrific, caused a lot of pain, and suffering to people who really weren't involved. So I say, let's get together. Let's talk about the consequences of inaction. The consequences of inaction is the opportunity for the enemy to make oppressive moves on people who have not acted. Where would we be if the American revolutionaries didn't pick up their pitchforks and guns and do something to gain our independence and freedom? Well, they did, and it was a big cost to them. And they didn't mind it because they were fighting for something that they truly believed in, this country. And they suffered hard. At Valley Forge, where it was so cold, and many of them died, about crossing the Potomac in the middle of the winter. Yes, they put themselves at risk many, many, many times. And a lot of them had to pay the price for you. That's right, for you. So that you could have the ability to do what the Constitution of the United States guarantees: freedom of speech, freedom to bear arms. Those are two very important ones. But there's many more. And we have been slowly but surely been stripped of constitutional rights. And I'd like to remind you that during the Obama administration, there were 93 acts committed or turned into law, made into law by the Obama administration against Christianity. So Christians have been persecuted ever since the beginning of time. So we can expect those types of things to continue if we don't do something about it. Don't stand by and watch your fellow Americans being executed. Oh yeah, that's right. Executed, persecuted, demonized, demoralized. And by who? Who? What right do those people have to come into this country and cause that chaos and confusion? They don't. They don't. Now, since we can't differentiate between one from another, because we don't know what evil lies in the mind of man and or woman, we have to be take extra precautions to make sure that we don't lose another 3,000 or 4,000 like in the Twin Towers. We don't need another Boston Marathon disaster, another San Bernardino disaster. And the list goes on and on and on. So in this passing thought for today, I want you to think about what your forefathers fought and died for, and what you need to do to help this country out of the dilemma, because it's not just this country, it's the world. And if we can't solve it here, we can't solve it anywhere. In closing, this is Blu Laker. The name of this program is Cobra USA. We emanate from the studio of Radio Tribune right here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And you can personally contact me at 743-8297. Have a great day.